Welcome back to the Chaplain's Corner. I'm Father Travis Crotty, and just yesterday we started the new semester for our students here at Galen Catholic. And it's always a time around this new year, new semester, it's a time for change. New year, new you, as they say, right? Maybe some people have already kind of dropped the resolutions that they made at the beginning of the new year, just a couple weeks ago. But it's a time of newness, a time of change. And it's just helpful to realize that as humans, we experience change. That's who we are. But my seminary rector would always say this, and it was really helpful. It's not human unless it's slow. If it's not slow, it's not human, right? So change always happens in our lives, but it takes us a long time to get used to that change, right? I've noticed that stepping in as like a young priest, brand new, people have their ways of doing things in the parish, in the school, in a community, in families. And sometimes we're forced to change, and that always creates some tension, and there's some tension, but that tension can be good because change is always an opportunity for conversion. I love the word conversion because I love the word that St. Paul uses in the scriptures in Greek, metanoia. Metanoia means to change your mind. So the nous or the noia is like mind, like our soul, and meta instead of meta means to change something. So St. Paul just had this beautiful understanding that Christian conversion wasn't just about doing things. It wasn't just about doing the right thing or not doing the wrong thing. It wasn't just about not committing more sins or like being in a good place with God. No, it was about having a change of your mind and your heart. That's what happens anytime we experience conversion. We experience change, but we can be kind of stuck in the mud about it, or we can allow God to use moments of change, the tension that comes with that, to be opportunities for metanoia, to have a change of our mind, a change of our heart. I think about this idea of change because yesterday we also just commemorated Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a man who was deeply aware of both change, the need for change, but also deeply aware of the possibility for conversion. We forget sometimes that his name wasn't just Martin Luther King Jr. It was the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. This guy was a pastor who understood that real human change doesn't just come from our willing it, of trying harder, of doing better, of pulling ourselves up by our own bootstraps. No, it comes from God's action in our life. And metanoia, a changing of our mind and heart, is a response to God's action. Because God is always trying to change us, trying to change our mind and our heart. Because as baptized Christians, we're always growing closer to being conformed to Jesus, right? The Second Vatican Council has this beautiful line. It says that Christ reveals humanity to itself. Jesus reveals man to himself. So Jesus teaches us what it means to be truly human. And that's going to require some change because we need to become more and more like him, right? John the Baptist said, he must increase and I must decrease. That change, that conversion, it's going to feel some tension. Just like we saw in the life of Martin Luther King Jr. He was killed for the crusade that he was bringing about, this change that needed to happen of how we understood ourselves as men and women through our race. But that doesn't stop because Martin Luther King Jr. knew what he was created for. A man created in the image and likeness of God, made to be in relationship with him. But he knew that he wasn't where he wanted to be, and he needed to experience some kind of change, some kind of conversion, some kind of metanoia, changing of mind and heart. Each of us have that same capacity to experience conversion. But we need to first recognize, where do I need to see some change in my life? Or where is change in my life right now creating a tension? It's going to be slow, the process of conversion. But as we become more and more aware of how we need change or how God is acting in our life, we can allow him to use that to be a moment of conversion, of metanoia, of becoming more like him. So even in this next week or in this next season, as we experience change in our life, in our families, in our jobs, in our situations, in our circumstances, let's allow that change, that tension that might be there, to be a moment of conversion, of growing closer to God. Father Travis Crotty, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.